Black men are attracted to light-skinned black women with long hair. Do you believe that, Kathy Russell? You are co-author of The Color Complex. Do you believe that?
Overall, yes, I believe that.
Mm-hmm. And is it your view that this is because of a white world that respects lightness?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that the black man then internalizes this and sees lightness as better, sexier?
Right, right.
Is it akin to a white man being attracted to a blue-eyed blonde woman? These are the women in the white world we think of as sexy and beautiful, etc.
Right, and the comparison in the black world to the blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman is the light-skinned African-American woman. So it's...
Uh-huh. Is it true that in your own life you dated a man who wouldn't marry you because he... Why?
Well, he said that I wasn't quite light enough to be his wife, but to bear his children. That was what he said. But I think it's not a personal vendetta of mine. I want to make that point up front. It's just something that that I've seen throughout my life, and that's why.
Yes. Your book includes phrases like "hi yella."
Yeah, those are, you know, those are terms that people use to describe others' color.
Uh-huh.
You know.
But "hi yella" is that good, or is it offered in a sneering way?
No, I would say that's offered in a sneering way.
Mm-hmm. But this has divided black families, has it not?
Oh, definitely it has.
And do we not have a lot of pain out there from men and women? I would think mostly women who took a lot. If you're light-skinned, there was a resentment.
Absolutely. And also, you know, it's both...
Incidentally, what are you, just curiously, may I ask, on the scale?
See, and it's a strange thing. I have been everything from light to dark, and it really depends on who you're sitting next to. If I'm sitting next to this gentleman, I become lighter. If I'm sitting next to someone that's lighter than I become darker, and because I'm kind of in the middle. That's why it's all really crazy, because it just depends on how you see it.
But it's important enough for you to do a lot of work on this and to co-author the book.
Well, because I think it's caused people a lot of pain. And that, you know, that's why we wrote this book.
You also tell stories of black parents who are disapproving when their children or a young adult, a teenager, brings home a dark-skinned date.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not all black families. I mean, my mom isn't like that. It's just some that are like that.
You sit next to your co-author, Midge Wilson. You likewise are responsible for the Color Complex. You're a social psychologist from DePaul University. Mm-hmm. And may I say, it should be said, you're a white person.
I'm a white person. I'm sorry.
Well, there was a time in this country when we might have had some tribunals that would demand that you prove it.
We still have it.
You're still right.
We still have it?
She could have one drop in her, you never know.
And that's all it would take,
That's all it takes.
As far as I know.
Yes, ask the people who wrote the law. You believe that, first of all, this kind of prejudice exists within the black community.
That is my understanding, and especially after working on this book, because I think a lot of whites don't realize the extent of the prejudice.
Yeah. Tell us about your own, how the scales fell from your eyes. You're an academic, and you did a lot of scholarship on this. Tell us.
Well, I grew up in the South, and I heard things white people would say, like, light-skinned blacks are more intelligent. This is known as the mulatto hypothesis. And it's a very arrogant assumption on the part of whites that if they have some white blood in them, then that makes them smarter because they're more like us. Or you hear other things like dark-skinned black men are more criminally dangerous, more sexually driven. And there are all these crazy myths that exist in the white community about African Americans on the basis of their skin color.
Just to stop you for a moment now, we have the proverbial white person walking down the street at night, and coming the other way are black men.
Right.
Now the question is, who's going to flee to the other side of the street?
Right.
And in your hypothesis, if those black males are very black, the fleeing will take place with more urgency.
With more rapidity. Yes. Because there is a perception that the darker the skin, the lower the class, the angrier, and this isn't true. There is a color class hierarchy in this country, but there's no one-on-one relationship. There's no one-on-one relationship between skin color and intelligence.
And is it your view that the, but this is a very sad commentary if we've got this kind, we have black people who are adopting the same kind of racist chemistry that has exploited them for so long by the white power structure.
It's a clear case of trickle-down discrimination, and I think African Americans have been hesitant to talk about this issue. We don't want to air our dirty laundry, but they've got to, because whites play a role in perpetuating it, and whites have to look at what they do every day to keep this issue alive.
And when Spike Lee made that comment, it was Spike Lee who said that black men go for light-skinned women with longer hair. And he also made the point that a lot of people, can we see it? He also made the point that a lot of blacks become very uncomfortable because he was saying that. Let me show you here. This was a...
the word is excuse.
This is School Days. She's talking about her hair.
Nobody told you to stand in the hall either. Excuse me. That's better, Miss Thing. It's not real. Say what? You heard. It ain't even real. You wish you had hair like this. Girl, you know you weren't even born with blue eyes.
That's right. Blue contact lenses.
They're just jealous.
Right.
Jealous. Rachel, I've been watching you look at Julian. You're not slick. If that was true, he wasn't much to look at. Pickaninny. Barbie doll. High yellow heifer. Tar baby.
Wanna be white, jigaboo.
Well, there's the litany of dirty names to call people. If here's what, that's from School Days, a film directed by Spike Lee. Here's what he said. Whether black men admit it or not, they feel light-skinned women are more attractive than dark-skinned, and they'd rather see long hair than a short afro because that's closer to white women. That comes from being inundated with media from the time you're born that constantly fed you the white woman as the image of beauty. That's both conscious and unconscious, said Mr. Lee. But on the whole, talking to my friends and knowing men, I see that a premium is put on light-skinned sisters with long hair. All true, huh?
All true.
And it's bad because,
well,
first of all, it penalizes persons, it's arbitrary.
Right, absolutely. And not only that, but I think you're buying into, you know, the myth that somehow white is better, so therefore lighter is better. And I think that it then takes out so many other African-American women that are beautiful, whether they have short... And my feeling is this: African-Americans come in looks everything from Whoopi Goldberg to Lena Horne and all in between. And it depends on your personal preference as to what you feel is beautiful. And that's another point to be made. There are prejudices, but there are preferences.
J. Edward Giles is CEO and publisher of Image magazine. Do you agree with Mr. Lee, with Spike Lee's observation about light-skinned women?
Absolutely.
You do?
Absolutely.
And how do you feel about that?
Well, the one problem I have here is that, first of all, this is no new phenomenon. This is not something that just took place like within the past century or past decade or so. This is something that was here from the time that we were brought here, from the time that your forefathers or your forefather stepped into my ancestry's bedroom and took advantage of them.
We shouldn't be surprised when you consider how your life would change if some white guy in a powerful white man could prove you had a drop of Negro blood. That certainly altered your life.
Phil, it's a very interesting point because I'm not so certain that you're all white.
I'm sure I'm not.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure I'm not.
Who knows? My point is that this is where this began, and what is really ugly is how it began, and that is what white America doesn't want to face. That is what black America knows. We know this. It is true, I would add, not only for African American men, but for African American women too, or people of color, women of color too, because you see an inundation now of hair weaves. You know, and I understand the issue of cosmetic changes and so forth, like, you know, that I can understand. However, when you weave in a white person's hair on your head and you call yourself a proud black woman, we have a problem here. Okay?
What's the matter? She didn't weave anybody else's hair on her head.
We have an issue. We have a problem.
You don't have